In today's practice, we are going to be using our blocks a lot. And hopefully this will also help you maybe move through some mental or emotional blocks that you might be feeling in your life. So let's get started. We're going to take our block and we are going to sit just for some quick breath work. Now, if this is comfortable for you, you can, with your knees, you can go ahead and sit like this, or cross-legged is also a really good option when you're sitting up on your block. So taking a moment, taking a deep breath in and out through the nose, just starting to prepare the body and the mind for our practice today. Taking a deep breath in, hold, and relax, starting to regulate the nervous system. Taking some deep breaths in, maybe a little hum on the exhale to activate your vagus nerve can also help to calm your mind. Another deep breath in and exhale. Beautiful, good. Grab both blocks. We are going to do a little chest opener. This is one of my favorites. So make a little T shape with your blocks, put it at the top of the mat, and we are going to lie back onto our blocks. It's like a fish pose where we are placing our upper back on one block and resting our head on another. So you need to play with this one depending on your body. And you can have your knees bent or you can straighten your legs out. You could bring your arms out to the side, wide or by your legs. And this shouldn't be uncomfortable. This should be a slight curve in your back, but more opening up your chest. So taking some deep breaths in and out here. So I'm hoping that this practice for you will help you go through maybe an uncomfortable pose or stretch and help you and give you a little bit more confidence in knowing the steps that you need to take and the journey that you need to go through, whether within your strength or flexibility in your yoga practice. So taking a deep breath in. This is also a really good guide if you or someone you know just got blocks, yoga blocks, and they want to know how to use them and all the benefits. Good. One more breath in. Good, and then slowly make your way up. It might be easier to bend your knees, rolling yourself into your kneeling position in the middle of the mat. Go ahead and grab your blocks. We're going to go into a child's pose. So for beginners, it's really great if you can't come into a kneeling seating position. You can always use the blocks to bring yourself up a little bit higher onto your knees. Or if you can sit all the way back down, but not all the way to the ground, you could place your forehead onto a block as well. So taking a minute in your version of your child's pose, wherever you are at. Another great option for the blocks is a deeper stretch where you are placing your hands onto the blocks, lifting your chest up a little bit higher, opening your shoulders a little bit more, and dropping your head down. Just take a minute here to take some breaths in and out. We can all go through moments in our life where our mind gets very busy, and we have a lot going on, and we need to learn how to control our thought process and take a step back and see what is coming up for us. Good. And then coming up slowly, placing your blocks on either side of your mat, lifting up onto your knees and stepping your left foot forward for high lunge or runner's lunge. So your back toe is lifted, lift it up straight. Now this is really good for the blocks if you're tall like me, or you're just still working on your flexibility. So keeping in mind that the blocks can go at different levels. So if you are a beginner, if you find it hard to sink all the way down, you can come up. And it's also really good for the posture and the core to be up in this pose and you get a deeper stretch. You can bring your blocks down to the next level and then even a third time. So let's take a minute here in our runner's lunge, keeping our chest up, enjoying this stretch. Creating a little bit more awareness in your body, feeling maybe an uncomfortable feeling. This is a lot of the reasons why we have emotional blockages in our life, is we decide to do other things instead of feeling the emotions that we are feeling. And it's when we become aware of them and decide to look deeper into them and then move through them and take action to solve these problems, is when the anxiety and resistance and things start to come more clear into our lives. So let's drop our back knee now, release the toe, and we're gonna walk back, and you can carry your blocks for your half split. This is another really good one because it's a reminder to keep your back flat. And then you can play with your hips too, making sure that your hip both hips are parallel to the top of the mat. Just breathe. Again, keeping in mind that you can come up a little higher if you want to, lifting your left toe. Nice. Let's walk our blocks back into our low lunge this time. So we're keeping our back knee onto the mat, lifting up a little bit higher here. This can be a really intense stretch, so it's really good also to have the blocks if you want to play with going down a little deeper in your pose and your posture. Always trying to keep the knee over the ankle, and then lifting up if you can. Good, another deep stretch here. We're going to flip our toe and we're going to try to straighten both legs in a wider version of our pyramid pose. So lifting up both legs slowly. Again, you can bring those blocks up for a higher stance so you can have a flat back and a deeper hamstring stretch here. Playing with the back foot, maybe lifting the heel and lowering, keeping the hips square. Good. I hope these blocks are going to help you maybe create a little bit more awareness within your body. Sometimes when you're doing your practice, you will become comfortable in a certain pose and doing a certain pose, and you won't know your body's limitations or what it can really do. So it's important to try new things, just like the emotional blockages and mental blockages within our mind. It's important to conquer the fears and the insecurities that we might have within the limiting beliefs within ourselves so that we can grow and move past them. Good. Let's place the blocks down onto the mat, come back in to our runner's lunge, and then dropping the back knee, come back into your child's pose, whatever version is calling for you. Drop your head down. Good, and coming up onto the other side, lifting the right foot forward, finding that perfect position, that perfect stance. Get your balance, and then flipping the toe up to your variation of your runner's lunge. Holding on to the blocks. Sinking deep, creating awareness in the body. Maybe creating a little bit of movement, just kind of rocking slowly back and forth, but again, not bringing the knee too far forward. Lift up. Always remember to breathe. Now dropping the back knee, walking the blocks back for our half split, lifting the right toe, bringing the hips square, flat back, just coming forward as much as you can. Again, you could bring the blocks with you. Take another breath in. So it's important to remember when we are feeling stuck, when we feel like we're getting the same type of emotions come up over and over again, that it is our body communicating to us and our mind that something needs to change, and that going through maybe a difficult situation in your life with more of an awareness of how you are reacting to it might be something that you need to do, and that sweeping certain emotional things under the rug, if they're not serving you and you feel like you're getting the same reaction, the same pattern, that you know that there are certain actions that might need to be done, certain changes that you can do in order to resolve some of these emotional blockages that are creating boundaries within your life, relationships, and essentially where you need to be in life. And you know where you need to be in life. You have that inner guidance. Bringing our body forward into our low lunge. So now we are opening up the hips even more, deeper stretch. Taking a breath in and out. Accepting where you are, not comparing yourself to anyone, understanding that we all have blockages in our life and being okay with it, knowing the tools and the guidance within to follow and lead with our heart. Good. Coming forward, lifting up that back heel, back into our runner's lunge, and then stepping back into our child's pose again. Good. Maybe rocking from side to side. And placing your blocks over to the side, we're just going to lift up to our first downward facing dog for a little bit deeper stretch in our hamstrings here. You walking our heels, one and then the other. Nice. Bending the knees onto the mat. Come up onto your toes. Grab your blocks again. And stepping up and walking your feet forward for your forward fold. So this one is great if you're working on your hamstring stretch and your forward fold. It took me a year to touch my toes. So that's another reminder that everything is a process, and we're not born always with this level of perfection. We'll constantly be looking at people where they're at and not necessarily see the work that they have done to achieve these things. And a lot of the times we forget ourselves, the work that we have done and how far we have come. but to celebrate it as well, right? To celebrate each milestone in your life. Knowing that you are doing the best that you can and that the journey that you're on right now is exactly where you need to be. Good. So again, if you're here and keeping a flat back, a really good reminder with your halfway lift when you're working on your yoga practice. So creating that flat back space using your blocks, really helpful. Good. Bend your knees. We're going to come up to a warrior 3 or standing split, but let's start with warrior 3. So we have our feet parallel and we're just going to lift our right leg up. We're engaging the right glute. And again, if this is too much on your hamstring, you could either bend the supporting knee or use the blocks to come up a little higher. We're just aiming for a nice 90-degree angle. Toes are pointed in, hips are square. It's a good one for balance. Hold. Good. And then releasing the right leg down. Give your knees a little bend. And then left leg goes back. Hips are square. Try to keep a flat back. Doesn't really matter how high your leg is lifted. Take another breath in and out. Squeeze the glutes. Nice. Lower down, bend the knees, rise to stand, reach up. Give yourself a nice little reach, a little stretch. Exhale. Take a second in mountain pose. A breath. I love taking these little moments, these little timeouts within your practice where you could just stand and close your eyes. You're also maybe feeling some nice tingling sensation. The blood is moving throughout your body and your muscles. It can kind of get you out of your mind, releasing some energy that might be creating some blocks within your life. Good. Let's come into our chair pose. Now again, I personally love using the blocks, so if you want to go ahead and try, you can put a block between your knees and you're squeezing the block while you're going down into your chair pose. So this is going to this helps if you are sitting incorrectly. Maybe you have a gap between your legs. So let's sit down into our chair pose with the block between our legs, squeezing the block, so engaging the glutes. Sitting deep into our chair, tucking in the belly, going back a little bit further on the heels. Good, and then from here we're gonna stand up slowly. We're gonna reach to the sky while still squeezing the block, and then try to come up onto your tippy toes. Shaking is good. Good, and then lower down, back into your chair. Come into cactus arms. Good. Dropping our hands behind our back, opening up the chest, straightening the legs. And then grabbing the block, bringing it to the front of the mat for our wide-legged forward fold this time. Give your knees a little bit of a bend. Place the blocks onto your mat. And we're just going to start by swaying from side to side, opening up our hips a little bit further. Feels good to maybe close your eyes, sway. Again, hum if you want to. So many ways that we can move the body. That's why dance is such a great natural healing device. Everybody likes to dance. Good. come down into your wide-legged forward fold wherever it's comfortable. And you can take this opportunity to come up on your blocks like this. Just enjoy this pose. Go down a little bit deeper, maybe opening your hips a little bit more, maybe bending your knees, maybe having your elbows, dropping your head. And another option is putting your forehead onto the block, maybe grabbing your feet or your ankles, pulling yourself in. Good, and then bending your knees. We're gonna heel toe, our feet together. We're gonna go into another deep stretch, our pyramid pose. So we are going to pivot our feet. Both toes are pointed to the top of the mat. It's another good one for blocks because we wanna maintain our hips to be square. Deep stretch here, using our blocks, coming up however high we need to have that flat back. And relax. It's one of my favorite poses. So again, deciding what works for you, bringing your foot forward or back, bringing the right hip forward. Good. And bending the right knee, bringing the feet to touch at the top of the mat, doing a quick little forward fold, and then bending the knees and just dropping the left foot back for your pyramid pose on the other side. You'll always notice that one side is maybe a little bit more flexible than the other. So go ahead and use your blocks. No one's going to judge you. Good. So I think quite often I'll see in the practice that just because somebody is, maybe advanced in their yoga practice, this using a block might be a sign of weakness, but I would have to disagree because I feel like you can really get your body into some different, more controlled places. And if you are doing certain things wrong, it can create bad habits. So it can bring you back to the basics. And there is nothing wrong with that. Let's bring your feet together, placing your blocks, giving yourself a nice little bend, and then all the way down to your knees for a moment. Placing your hands back. We're going to sit down. We're going to do a quick little inversion, tabletop inversion, where we're lifting our hips, lifting up, maybe dropping the head, opening up our chest a little bit further. Nice, and then slowly dropping our hips all the way down to the mat. Let's go into our boat pose, and let's use the block again just for fun, because we're gonna squeeze our knees. We're gonna bring our arms forward, our chest forward, and just hold. Squeezing the midsection, squeezing our belly. Smiling. Life really is fun. There's that one thing when you're working on things that are hard, just understand that there is an element towards life through the work, through the darkness, through the things that you have to go through that are uncomfortable, that all in all, we're here to experience joy and happiness. And I hope that these types of tools and practices that I'm providing helped you to remind you of those things. Let's roll back one vertebra at a time and lift up into our Bridge position, again, using that block, squeezing, working the inner thigh this time, lifting ourselves up, giving ourselves a squeeze. If I came in to your living room or wherever you're at right now, could I take that block away from your bind, from your hold of your knees? That's how tight you should be squeezing the block. No one can take it from you. Kind of like your freedom. Lift up. Good. Lower our hips down. Let's bring our knees to our chest, giving ourselves a squeeze from side to side. Giving yourself a little bit more of maybe a release and exhale through the mouth. Deep breath in through the nose. And relax. Exhale. Good. Place your feet down onto the mat. We're going to do another juicy stretch. Take the block, place it on your lower back so your hips are lifted. We're going to drop our right leg down to the floor, the mat, depending on how tall you are, and then bending the left knee into your chest. Ooh, so you can feel that this is a little bit more of a deeper stretch in your hips. You could feel the stretch coming all the way up your psoas muscles and your upper thighs. Good. Squeezing the left leg into your chest. And go ahead and flex your feet if you want, feeling how that feels. Maybe point and flex. Point and flex. Good. Let's raise the left foot all the way up and lower down. Now feel this sensation with you have both legs straight and your hips are lifted. Take a minute to relax and see how this feels on your body. And if this is too much for you, you can go ahead and remove the block and do it on the mat, on the floor. So you listen to your body. Let's go with the right leg now. Opening up the hip, trying to bring the right knee into the chest. Closing your eyes. Maybe taking a moment to think of the blocks that are happening in your daily life, the routine of thoughts, of negative emotions that keep coming to surface that might not be serving you. And not judging them in any way, just accepting them, but knowing that if you work on yourself and you work on certain things, you can get to a place where they no longer trouble you. They no longer interfere. Let's flex our feet, point our feet, and then bring both legs up for a waterfall. So we still have our our hips or lower back lifted by the block. Let this be comfortable. Feet are flexed. Again, you could point or flex your feet. Feels so nice. Good, and then lowering our feet down, lifting our hips off of the mat. We're gonna go right into a twist. So find the middle of your mat. Please place both blocks on either side. What we're gonna do here, we're gonna drop the right knee down. So right leg is flat onto the mat. Lift the left knee bent and carry it over to the side. Now this might need a little bit of maneuvering, and you may not even need the block depending on your hip flexibility. The other thing I like to do is sometimes, in this case, I'm going to use the other block and just rest my head. So I'm twisting at the waist here. And again, listen to your body. Just doing a nice little twist. Keeping the right leg pointed. Taking a breath in and out. Feel like I'm on a beach. Good. And let's switch sides, slowly bringing your knees back to center, finding the mat, and then straightening the left leg down and bending the right knee over and placing your knee on that block. Now you can bend your knee in like a tree, like in your tree pose. Again, listening to your body, opening up your chest, just enjoying this moment. Feeling the twist, twisting in at the waist. And then coming up to center and finding a comfortable seated position, lying down position for our final pose, or Shavasana. It came out a little funny. So just taking some deep breaths in and out, getting comfortable. Again, you could use your block as a headrest, or if you have any lower back problems and it is painful to lie down, you can go ahead and put the blocks under your knees. Let's take a minute here. A deep breath in and out. Let's let our hands up into receiving mode. Taking this minute or this moment to give thanks and gratitude for everything that you do have into your life. Think about the things that bring you joy, the people that make you smile, the experiences that you've had that have been positive, the things that people say about you perhaps, reminding you of your beauty, of your strength, of your courage, of your wisdom. People see things in you that you don't always see. Remind yourself of these things. You are love. You are light. You are worthy of love and abundance, peace, calm, happiness, forgiveness. If you want to stay in this pose, please do. Take some mindful breaths and relax. Or if you're ready to close the practice with me, you can give yourself a stretch from head to toe, reaching your arms over your head. Maybe bringing your knees again into your chest, giving yourself some self-love, bringing your chin in to your knees. And then coming up, finding your comfortable seated position where we get to take a moment to thank each other through this beautiful practice that is yoga. Knowing the tools that we can use each and every day to help us through this transitional journey that is taking us step by step and block by block to the next level that is who we are meant to be.